Let me tell you about the time my HOA fined me $50,000 for building a dam. A dam that was the only thing keeping their precious neighborhood from turning into a swamp. Yeah, you heard that right. 50 grand for doing the one thing nobody else wanted to lift a finger for. And it didn't stop at nasty letters either. No, sir, one fine Tuesday, they sent a deputy to my door, all serious and stiff, ready to haul me off to jail if I didn't tear it down. And there was Marlene, our HOA president, a classic Karen if you ever met one, standing right behind him, grinning like she'd just won the lottery, waving around a stack of paperwork I knew in my gut was faker than a $3 bill. You want to know what I did? I played along. I let them think they'd back me into a corner. But what Marlene didn't know was I'd already been collecting every scrap of evidence I'd need to burn her little kingdom to the ground. So when they forced me to destroy my own work, I did it hands trembling, but head held high. And then I just sat back and waited for the consequences to come crashing down, not on me, but on them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up a sec. This whole mess started with a plain white envelope, no warning, just sitting there next to my coffee, looking innocent as could be. I figured it was another HOA newsletter about hedges or trash can placement, you know. Didn't think much of it, tossed it on the counter, told myself I'd read it later. I'd lived in that house 30 years, raised kids there, fixed up everything myself, planned on dying right in that patch of quiet. The HOA most days just background noise, part of the price for a peaceful street. But that afternoon I finally slid open that envelope and my retirement hit a brick wall. Inside was a single sheet, big bold red numbers jumping out at me, $50,000. I blinked. I looked again. I checked the top fine assessment. For what unauthorized construction and alteration of community water flow. That's legalese for, you built a dam and we're mad about it. Now here's the thing. We'd been fighting this flooding problem for years. My house and two others at the end of our cul-de-sac used to get swamped every spring. Not a little water either. We're talking mud-ruined flower beds, sheds, flooded foundations threatened. George, my neighbor, lost a brand new lawnmower in it. We begged the HOA for help. They'd send a committee walk around with clipboards, then send us a letter about how fixing it was cost prohibitive. Translation: not their problem. So I fixed it myself. I spent a month planning, 2 months building just a small reinforced dam right where the creek narrowed behind our yards. Not an eyesore, not blocking fish, nothing. I'm no civil engineer, but after 40 years as an electrician, I know how to build something solid. And it worked. First big stormwater slowed, drained out the way it should. Yards stayed dry for the first time in decades. George and Clara were thrilled, brought me whiskey, joked I should run for mayor. So to get this fine for saving their lawns, it felt like I'd been sucker punched. The letter was signed by Marlene herself, all full of threats about property liens, daily compounding interest, the works. There were even copies of county permits, stapled to the back signatures, smeared seals, all blurry, the kind of thing a teenager could fake on a printer. I figured this had to be a mistake. I called the HOA really just Marlene's house, let's be honest. She picked up syrupy, sweet voice, hiding a knife. There's no mistake, Mr. Miller. You built an unauthorized structure. The fine stands. I tried to reason with her, told her the dam was helping, that the rules she cited didn't even sound real. We're governed by rules, not by what makes your friends happy, she snapped. Click. I sat there, phone in hand, and realized this wasn't incompetence. It was an attack. I emailed the whole board, sent pictures of the flooding from before and after, attached every letter the HOA had ever sent me admitting the problem. Nothing for 2 days, then a note from a guy named David on the board said Marlene was adamant, but maybe if I apologized and tore the dam down, they'd lower the fine. Why should I apologize for saving my home? Still, I started collecting everything, letters, photos, receipts, my entire email chain. That's when I noticed something. The county seal on Marlene's so-called permit looked wrong. I pulled up the real thing from the county website. The HOA's version was skewed fuzzy, not even close. They hadn't just made up rules, they'd forged government documents. My disbelief hardened into rage. This wasn't about a dam anymore, it was about a bully using lies to steal 50 grand. So I went full investigator. Dug up years of backyard photos, made a timeline, even set up a wildlife camera to record the creek every time it rained. Next big storm, I had clear footage. Water rising dam holding runoff, flowing harmlessly away. No flooding, no damage. I sent all of it to David with a direct message. Here's the proof. The documents you're using are fraudulent. The dam works. Please reconsider. He called me an hour later, whispering like he was in a spy movie. You're not wrong, Jack, but you need to be careful. Marlene doesn't back down. The board just does what she says. My advice, take it down. It's not worth what's coming. He hung up, but it was all the confirmation I needed. The HOA was Marlene's little fiefdom. 3 days later, the fight came to my door. I'm in my garage tinkering when a deputy rolls up. Are you Jack Miller? He asks, face like stone. You've been served a cease and desist by the HOA. Remove the dam in 48 hours or face criminal charges. I tried to explain, told him about the forgery, but he shut me down. Sir, I'm here to serve the notice. Comply or we'll be back. I stood there, papers shaking in my hand, feeling like the ground had tilted under my feet. My home, my rights wiped away by a forged letter and a woman on a power trip. For 2 days, I was paralyzed. I sat up at night staring at that notice, wondering if this was how it all ended, a retirement spent paying off a fraud or worse, sitting in jail. But I'm not built to roll over. I called my old friend Maya, civil engineer, no nonsense, smarter than any 10 board members put together. She came over, read every letter, every permit, examined the dam herself. This isn't just a pile of rocks, she said, tapping the concrete. It's a proper gravity weir. Safe, effective, professionally built. And this permit garbage. Fonts don't match. The regulation code doesn't exist. Hearing her say it out loud, I felt hope for the first time in weeks. Maya helped me set up gauges, log water levels, document every flow with hard data. She wrote a formal report, stamped, signed the real deal. We put it all together in a demand letter to the board, drop the fines, apologize, or we go public. Sent it certified, mail proof in hand. A week later, Marlene doubled down. New fine, $10,000 for unauthorized surveillance device. My little security camera apparently was now an act of espionage. She even cited a bylaw that didn't exist. The neighbors had seen the police, heard the rumors. When I showed George the new notice, he shook his head and started talking to others. Next day, he brought a signed letter from everyone on our cul-de-sac, all backing me up, confirming the dam fixed the flooding, and the camera was only watching my own property. Now Marlene really lost it. Suddenly there were 2 shiny new cameras on the lamppost across the street, aimed right at my house. She wanted me to feel watched, isolated, but I just pointed my camera right back. Then came the phony photo violation, a blurry shot of my wheelbarrow and some bags of cement supposedly left out, time-stamped at a time when I knew they were locked in my shed. Checked my footage. Sure enough, Marlene had driven by at dawn, snapping pictures. The woman was unhinged. She sent her bulldog Tom for a fake inspection of the dam, slapped me with another $5,000 fine for structural instability. Only problem, I'd recorded the whole thing on my phone. Tom was there for 30 seconds, didn't even look at the dam. We had him cold. But now Marlene was targeting my neighbors too. George got a warning for his grass, Clara for her mailbox. People were scared. So I made a simple guide, a harassment log, showed folks how to document everything. Emails, photos, phone calls, slip copies into mailboxes at night. Slowly, folks started pushing back just a little. And then the hammer dropped. Marlene showed up with Deputy Harris again, accusing me of trespassing on community land using another forged map that magically redrew my property lines. She'd filed a criminal complaint and got a judge to sign an order forcing me to destroy the dam or face jail. It was the most brutal move yet. That night, my wife Sarah, who'd stood by me through everything, said, "Maybe it's time to give up." I almost did. But the next day I realized I couldn't risk jail, not with Sarah. So I hired a contractor, watched as my dam was torn down hard in my throat, sent proof to the HOA. Marlene didn't reply. She'd won. But then the sky opened up. A biblical storm rolled in. By morning, the creek was a raging river, our yards flooded worse than ever. George's new mower gone, Clara's patio underwater. For 2 days, I documented everything: video, photos, damage reports. And you know what the neighborhood saw. Whispers turned from "Jack's a troublemaker" to "Why did Marlene make him tear it down?" That's when I called the news, told them my story. The fines, the forged documents, the flood. Reporter came out, filmed the damage, interviewed Maya, and the neighbors pored over the evidence. 2 days later, it was all over TV, the forgeries, the intimidation, the mess. Marlene caught ducking questions on camera, stammering, blaming me. By morning, the whole city was talking. An emergency board meeting was called. The clubhouse packed not just our street, but the whole neighborhood. People stood up, waved newsletters, shouted about years of petty fines and bullying. I showed my evidence, one piece after another: the fake documents, the videos, the signatures, the real property map. Marlene tried to tough it out, but she had nothing left. Finally, she grabbed her papers and stormed out. By the end of the night, she'd resigned. Every fine against me was dropped, a public apology issued, and the HOA agreed to pay for every bit of flood damage. But that wasn't the end. Maya and I, with George and the neighbors, rewrote the rules, capped fines, banned private surveillance, made every meeting open, built transparency into the HOA's bones. And a month later, with a legal permit in hand, we rebuilt the dam together. This time, it was a community effort, folks bringing sandwiches, kids watching, everyone pitching in. When the next storm came, the yard stayed dry and peace settled back over our street. And let me tell you, watching that water flow harmlessly past Maya at my side, I realized you can't outvote gravity, and you sure can't bully the truth forever. So let me ask you, was justice served? Or did it just take a flood to wash the lies away? Drop a comment. Tell me your thoughts on HOAs and share your own story, because I know I'm not the only one who's been there.